Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. They told me that I had to garland them and then give them shawls. But the other sister said, no, just go up there and say thank you and sum up. So I decided I'd listen to the other sister. You know, my father's brought us up very well. There are 4 of us and we all listen to each other. So sometimes that's maybe a good lesson for families of the future. But having said that, it's been a phenomenal 2 days and exactly 100 days putting it together. And sometimes I wonder, you know, why did we even take this on? And honestly, I don't even have an answer for it. But they say in Greek mythology, Hindu philosophy, Christian religion, that when something very good is going to happen, apparently all the stars align together. You know, in the galaxy, there are a whole bunch of stars which align together, and this is a story which happens, you know, every religion talks about it. And then something really good happens. So maybe that's really what happened when, you know, this whole thought of the future of healthcare as a plan, as a collective vision was even put together, that somewhere in the universe, all the stars aligned together. And it said tadastu, you know, in Sanskrit, when they say tadastu, it means let it happen. So I must really say thank you. First for all the stars, not only on the stage, but who've traveled halfway across the world. Sometimes it was just a phone call. Sometimes it was like, you know, please, can you consider, it's been preponed. We thought of it last minute, but will you all come? And everyone came, and I think that itself is the shape of some really, really good things to come. I must mention at this time that the WHO, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the Public Health Foundation of India have been a phenomenal support. You know, 2 things happen when just a group of individuals from private sector, very passionate, wanting to make a difference, come and say, you know, let's do something. It's fine, but then the public might turn around and say, you know, who are these people? But then when the government of a country, when the WHO, the, you know, very acknowledged body like the Public Health Foundation of India says, no, we will work with you to do this, I think it brings a different vision, a different flavor, a stamp of maybe even credibility to this. So I must acknowledge and thank them for the immense support which has happened. Thank you. And then we had these partners because, you know, again, you know, it was just a thought, but we said, you know, why should anyone just go up on a stage, get people together and preach what they think has to be the future? It has to be a cohesion, it has to be a partnership. So then we got the partners and, you know, we were thinking about them. And to me, it seems like, you know, the biggest turbines which put rockets into space, the best aircraft engines, the cars, wherever there is a wheel which drives that turbine. The finest Swiss watches have the most beautifully crafted wheels. But all these wheels work with momentum only because the cogs in the wheel are honed to perfection. And I think our industry partners, our knowledge partners, both which came together to do this for us, were the perfect cogs in that very fine wheel of this whole exercise which we took on. So I'd like to acknowledge your support and say thank you for being there for us. You know, CII, FICCI, Nat Health, the Public Health Foundation of India, IMA, all these bodies came together to do this. And then our knowledge partners, you know, McKinsey, PwC, Bain and Company, and KPMG, very readily came and said, you know, let's do these white papers. So I think we have white papers of substance, but to me we have white papers which are really a small building block for the future, because you heard about the future from, you know, all our speakers, and you have the white papers with you. And some of the answers may be there, but the answers are not something which is written on a white paper. The answers are when it's implemented, when it's in action, and, when it's actually happening and serving mankind. And I think that is really what the intent of this conference is. So just to go through, I think it was a seamless coalition, a mood of collaboration and commitment. And it was all for, that patient and humanity. And that came, it started with saying that we have to be there for the patient. Shivinder said it in so many words. Dr. Shetty and Dr. Trehan, they all stand for it. So I think that was fantastic that for the past 2 days, the end result, the end game, the end goal was the person who needs healthcare. So I think that has been truly heartwarming for us. It was an alliance, it was a forum, and it was something which really transcended all the boundaries, and this happened also. It was a collective vision, and I think there were shared goals, which was superb. Shobna and Sangeeta set the context, they put the mood in place, and they told us, they put a direction and a goal in place, and I think we might have conformed to a lot of things they told us to do. And then the first session was with the NCDs. I must thank, at this point again, Dr. Preetha Reddy, whose PHFI really put a lot of effort, in Bain and Company, and some tremendous panelists who really flew from different locations to come and discuss about the NCDs, the problem of NCDs. And at this point, all of us have to be aware of one fact, that we talk about natural disasters. If there is a natural disaster, media is like talking about it so much. We're talking about acts of terrorism. We never seem to realize that the NCDs are actually much bigger acts of disaster unless we intervene and do something about it. So I think if the awareness has been set, if there are innovative models which we heard which can help us overcome, if not get rid of these problems, I think we're on a good track. I think, making diabetes disease-free, because I think the comorbidity of diabetes seems to be a more heart-rending and a bigger problem, and I think Dr. John Brooks brought that across very well for us, and thank you for that. Again, I think regulations, if regulations can really complement this journey, government working hand in hand, like Dr. Shetty said, again we can take steps in the right direction. I think that would be a huge help. The panel was superb. They really brought a sense of direction, focus into what we were doing in the NCD challenge. And we had a fantastic inaugural. We had our Montek Singh Alwalia, our Planning Commission member. But many of you know that, but the Planning Commission actually wrote out a lot of the public-private partnership deals which we are actually enjoying now. If India has better airports, the thought came from the Planning Commission. So if India has better healthcare tomorrow, I think the Planning Commission is going to play, whichever person is there, but the awareness is there, and I think they're going to play a huge role in that area. So it was a great inauguration. And then we had the next session, which was again talking about public-private partnerships, but people partnerships. And that to me seems like the biggest challenge. Today we can fund hospitals, we can find capital for hospitals, we can build infrastructure, but the people partnership, how do we work together with the public sector is probably the most important part. And I think Dr. Nigel Crisp's points on that were again of great value to us. Lots of improvements and a long way to go was what our health secretary felt. And the fact that it came from the health secretary means that we can probably see that this long way to go would be a very helpful road from their side, from the government side. So that would be good. Our chairman is passionate again about fighting the NCDs, and he said that unless we do something in India, it does not become the diabetes, the heart, or the cancer capital of the world. It will not be a job well done, and I think he's consistently saying that to us, and we do continue to fight that battle. This was all part of the inauguration. And then there was a session which spoke about the where, what, and how, and how can disruptive innovation really change the mindset of people? Because we can innovate, but you have to change the mindset of people to handle those innovations, and I think that was a superb session. Lot in these couple of days was about innovation, which itself says that, we are looking into the future. So we spoke about that. There was a great panel there, and thank you again, the panelists, for being so forthcoming with your thoughts, ideas, and sharing it with all of us so charmingly. And then we did the public, private, and people partnerships, and it said that all partnerships need the magic of participatory responsibility. When it's a partnership, it can't be one person dictating and the other person doing. It has to be participatory. There has to be a magic in participation. And I think that came up very, very strongly in the panel. We had Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee from CII, who was our partner, who really drove this point home extremely well. Paul was superb in his points. Panel went off, I think, very well received. Thank you all again, the panelists, for doing that so well with us. The talent fast forward. We heard it from the session right now, and we heard it yesterday, and we're feeling that, and it's a global challenge, that we can have the most expensive equipment, fantastic drugs, great research, but the talent to actually handle and manage healthcare seems to be like the biggest problem ever. So if we can innovate for talent, if we can find better talent, whatever we have to do to fast forward the challenge of talent, I think that is probably what everyone is working towards, and we're trying hard to do. Again, great panelists, and thank you. Mr. Pawar was here because he's one of the persons who's really innovated to take talent forward. The panel did very well, and we had a global perspective this morning about what each country's challenge was, and to the ministers from all the different countries who took the time off to be with us and share their thoughts. A special thank you from the organizing team, because I think your perspective truly made the conference go global. So thank you, all of you, for being there with us this morning. Innovation, that seems to be, to me, like in many ways a prescription for the future, because in whichever way we can innovate to make talent quicker, faster, smarter, reliable. If we can make processes quicker, we can make, from innovation, provide more affordable healthcare, then I think we will be doing something truly good for mankind. And at that time, we had both Krishna and Victor, who Victor literally, I think, got hijacked into coming into Delhi before he went off to Singapore. And, somehow I think all of us asking, he couldn't say no. But Victor, let me tell you that IPHID is something which you've created, is going to be a legacy for future generations. So thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for spending the morning with us, because I think it's inspired a lot of healthcare providers, innovators, to go back and say that, maybe I can make a difference. And if we can ignite that spark or inspire people to just go back and say, I can make a difference in the way healthcare is delivered, then we would have greater, faster, quicker, smaller innovations, but meaningful innovations. So both Krishna and you did a fantastic job. Thank you both for that. Dr. Didar Singh, again, Mr. Didar Singh, the FICCI's help was superb, and, your inputs, the commitment to innovation, I think, again, was very inspiring. The panelists were many, but each one of them had some fantastic inputs again, so thank you. And then we came to the most wonderful session, I think, of this morning, simply because that each one of the panelists are people who just control the way global healthcare is going to be delivered, whether it's by accessible innovation, whether if it's by affordable innovation, by accountable innovation. Whichever way we look at it, I think, the future is what is more important, because the future is what, is the legacy which we're going to deliver for the generations which come. Dr. Shetty's remarks were practical, they were down to earth, but more than anything else, coming from a doctor, there was something which I think were like so acceptable. Nata, thank you, because yours was a global vision, and the WHO continuing to focus even on women's health, which sometimes we tend to forget, was great for us. Dr. Trehan was, I think, candid with his input, spoke about research, tried to find ways to touch 1 billion lives. I know you're running off into surgery, but I just want to say thank you again, Dr. Trehan. It was wonderful having you with us. Amir, it's not always that we get an input from Stanford. And today, somehow we were lucky. We had Duke, we had Stanford, we had Harvard, we had the NHS. And all because there was a shared goal and a shared agenda. Let's put the patient first and let's make a difference. So I think your inputs were really wonderful, and thank you for that. And Shivinder, I just mentioned you last because Sunita decided that you were the youngest and you were representing the future generation. So the crystal ball sometimes seems to be in your hand, but I think that the future with all of us healthcare players working together is in good hands.